Well, Coach, another home weekend coming up against Lake Superior State, a team that you haven't seen since last year. Just talk about last weekend, first of all. You get the sweep over Bowling Green at home, the second game in overtime. What did you like about your team in those two games?
They're hard games to play after a break. Doesn't matter the opponent. I thought Bowling Green played very good hockey. They played hard. They stuck to their identity the whole time. And the Friday, actually, prior to the games, I was impressed with our guys being excited to be back. That part, I think you can get in. That for me is the gauge. And then when they got back, I just thought Friday we were very timely. I thought BG played a better game than the scoreboard. And then Saturday, we were less timely, and I thought you felt like, hey, there they are. They're in your face and they're in the way. So I like the fact we didn't panic in the third when we gave up the goal, and it got to be an even game. And actually, we had a good, strong push, and Moore was excellent in the net for them. So as a team, I thought we had big nights. Carbs had a big night on Friday. Pitt has a big night on Saturday as individuals, but just as a team game, there's some things we got to keep pushing on, but it was good.
Contributing to that team game that you talk about so much, Campbell gets Defenseman of the Week for the CCHA. Here's a guy that night in and night out does some of the things that you want everybody to do, right?
He's relentless. I think his ability to want to be better, like his desire of what he does in the video room, his desire what he does pre and post practice, let alone internally inside of practice. We talk a lot about playing hard versus competing here, and there's probably not a bigger competitor day to day with what he brings. And so I thought his play's been good. Him and Wheels played together a lot, and I think they're got a little yin and yang together about how they get things done. But for Soupy to get the icing on the cake is the scoring and the score sheet, but his game is really crazy, pretty consistent.
Looking at the week ahead against Lake Superior State, a little bit of added intrigue here. You're sitting at number one in the CCHA. They're at number two. Does that bring a little extra motivation to the series?
Yeah, sure. I would. For the media, I'll say yes. For us, you just told me what place everyone's in. I don't know. We don't really get into it. I know they're a talented team that has skill. They play hard. They've beat some good opponents. They took, State to the overtime in the beginning of the year. I know they had a hiccup against Ohio State, but at the same time, they beat really good teams and they play their backside off. I think they play a very complete game.
Open it up for questions. Kevin Dudley.
Luke, when you look at Lake State, I think one thing that stands out is just the offensive skill they have. I really feel like they've got a good forward group and just seem to be a team that has a knack for scoring. And obviously, you guys have defended really well. Maybe talk about what you see from them offensively when you watch them.
I think dangerous group, a really dangerous group. They can get come in waves a little bit on that side of it. I think they've got some individuals, Milburn and the Teleguini kid. They've just been outstanding. You can't if you go individually, like they've got a whole group. That Milburn line's been outstanding. They've got a ton of miles out of Piku's done a great job. And then you bring in pretty soon some guys that just play the right way and they defend hard. Schweitzer's bank some points, and Druskin's coming in from Michigan's bank some points for them. And but I think a lot of to your point, their skill and their maybe depth of skill up front, we better be on guard.
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Coach, your team comes into the weekend, one of the longer unbeaten streaks in the country now. Last 9 games, 7-0-2. In fact, your last loss, you only got beat or 1-0. And in that streak of 9 games, you've only given up once more than 2 goals. You actually won that game. Is it easy to simply point to Tracy and what he's done in the nets, or is there a lot of other things going on that people need to focus in on about why your team has been so successful in the past 6 weeks?
I guess I don't look into the numbers like you do, which I appreciate you for doing that. I do think Trace has been great. Don't get me wrong. I think he deflects the credit to what's going on in front of him. I think there's been a little bit of balance to our team as far as we talk a lot about, like, okay, what's the trust in what's your performance, and can you raise your trust and keep your performance high, and or do you need to go performance high and lose your trust? And if we can get that out of our group, it's definitely talked about. It's thought of, but I think when you find us 5-on-6 and Pitlick's on the ice, I trust the kid. That's how I think there's just enough trust in our group. That we've probably defended hard as a group of 5 in front of them, but at the same time, when we've needed a stop, it's 33's made some big saves at some big times.
Kevin?
I want to ask about your defensive core, Luke. I mean, I know we just talked a little bit. Trace obviously gets a lot of credit, but I feel like coming into the year, we talked about this D core as being a deep group that could really help your team. And now here you are leading the nation at 1.5 goals a game. That deep D core in front of Alex has really played a big part in that, hasn't it?
The decor has done. There's some great balance. Soupy and Wheels give us so many steady minutes. Ralphie, I think, knock on wood, has got scored on one time 5-on-5 all year long. You get the balance of the offensive stick with Murr and Bellini and those guys getting that way. And Ash has done a great job as a young player here. And then kind of, I think there's 2 guys that get forgot about a lot. JP a little bit in what he gets done, but I do think Bergmanis he's underrated for all that happens on his watch, which not much for the other team happens when he's out there. So they've got a good combination. And then I think you'd learn on the other side of the puck would be when we've got the puck is oftentimes possession-wise some of your best defense because the other team can't get it.
Yeah, Kevin?
The decor you mentioned, the complementing skill sets. How nice is it to have that? And is that unique that you have a decor that has this much depth and this much complementing skill? It really does allow you to kind of tinker and do some different things as a coach, doesn't it?
It has. I mean, it's allowed some, shared some minutes that are, some of the guys penalty kill them, they don't power play, and vice versa. That part is unique. I think the depth for any team, hopefully we build here, is through the middle and the decor and starting at the net. And the defense oftentimes we play some of the most minutes of your team per night, so the most reliability, but at the same time, you want some predictability, but you need some offense. You need to be able to push the puck up the rink in transition and get us out of your own end. So getting 6 defensive defensemen is not going to help you because it sounds to me like you're going to defend a lot. At the same time, 6 offensemen, you might be risk reward might be pretty high. So the blend and the balance has been really important for the recruiting side, but I think the type of player that we're bringing in.
Go ahead, Don.
Pitlick's goal in overtime. I've been around the team for a long, long time, Coach. Obviously, Morton had that ability. Michaelis, for me, I think Ryan Carter probably had the best, but that one-time shot ability, I mean, they were watching him every position he was on the ice, and yet you got him that pass, and in a position where he could snipe that shot like he did. That is a rare ability. How much of it is just something that comes naturally to certain special players? How much of it's practice? I mean, it's a special guy to have that ability to hit that shot to win the game Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, he can hit it from a low spot in the circle, which is not hard. It's oftentimes more of a vertical pass down on him, which sometimes are the hardest ones to hit. To Rhett's credit, like what people don't see when the scoreboard's on is like there isn't really a morning that Rhett doesn't miss doing skill ice, extra shooting with coaches, without coaches, on his own, put himself in spots that he's vulnerable in, wanting extra plays and passes. Like you hear day to day, you see him do it nonstop, which is a credit to what he, and also, that brings everyone else into the same. They want to do the same thing he's got going. monkey see, monkey do a little bit. So that part has been healthy for us. There's definitely a talent required. You named some pretty darn good players that are able to hit pucks to your liking in that regard. Like Cards could pound it, but he'd almost shoot it through you too. Like it didn't really matter. When you see that goal, passing in for BG he's well aware of where Rhett is. Rhett just found a little bit deeper, softer spot to hide in, and then you have to elevate a goal at a sharp angle. He did it in Bemidji for a 4-on-3 power play goal, and he just pulled it off again. And we see it in practice. Like he was really upset that in third period he had a one-timer that he didn't score on, although he got all of it, but it didn't get it elevated like he probably wanted. So, Pitt he's a unique guy in the fact that like he's very instinctive about what his game needs. He's a very instinctive guy about seeing someone else do something, and he's got the ability to, not in a good way, like a copycat scenario, a Stamkos and Ovechkin, a low one-timer area. So it's a really hats off to him because he's a very proud hockey player that works on his craft.
Kevin?
Maybe talk a little about the internal competition with that decor. I mean, I know you coming in, you've had depth, Sender obviously, playing forward, but is it a tough decision each night to try and figure out, who's going to be in there given all the talent you have in that group?
Yeah, it stinks. It really does because whoever's not playing could easily be playing. And then I think there's some lineup to it too. Like we played 13 forwards and 60 on the weekend this past weekend. We just, we had some bodies that were dinged up, so we want to protect ourselves just in case things went south on that part. Thankfully we did in some regard because we had to utilize that. When you get to the 12-7 scenario, then you're probably getting the seventh in, but there's 8 and all 8 can play. That's a tricky one and stinks as a coach. And then the second you go 12-7, there's 3 forwards that could probably jump in there and play as well. So the competition's great. It's just it stinks as a coach because it's nothing personal. It's the need, the timing, maybe the game, the situation we play, the team, the opposition, but day to day around here, we do competitive points nonstop, and it's talked about and leaned on pretty heavily.
Don?
Will Hillman, obviously that was a tough one to see the other night. How is he doing? His prognosis?
Yeah, I think everyone saw. I would say he's making some steps. I would be more. We could maybe say day to day, but it could be week to week here. There's a break coming that could help him the most, actually. So there's a chance we see Hilly. There's a chance we don't. It's going to be whatever steps he gets through the protocol in time, great. If not, then that's to Kevin's point, the depth and the creation of our team that we're going to have to count on. And Hilly's played his value in the value minutes for us has been very high. So we'd love to have him back, but you won't see him at practice. I can tell you that part at this point.
Any other questions for Coach? All right, well, appreciate the time.
Thank you.